What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It is second round of the NBA playoffs. Thank you for joining all things NBA from A to Z. We have the goats on the line. We have Zach Noble, Chris P, and as well as our friend, our honored guest, Sam McQuillian. How are you, Sam?
What up? What up? I'm doing well.
I
Knicks
know
are
the
up
city is
2-0.
buzzing. The
So
city is buzzing. New York City is buzzing right now. That's why we have Sam and Chris both, on the bottom of the screen. They're big Knicks fans. I just want to get into Beat the Book real quick. So thank Ball is Life and Beat the Book for sponsoring this show. Beat the Book specifically because they are sponsoring this live edition, which we do every week, every Thursday during the postseason. We'll recap some of the games. We'll talk about some of the things we see. But more importantly, for those who follow me, we'll be getting into some of the betting edges and angles that we see throughout as well. And we have some great insiders here that might, drop some knowledge on you guys. But I'll start with Chris, man. New York Knicks. Sure, you were there in the building. How are you guys feeling right now?
I mean, dude, 54 years to the day of Willis Reed walking out that tunnel. Less important game, not exactly game 7 of the finals, not exactly the team 48 minutes away from their first ever franchise championship in the NBA, but something about that magic of May 8th, man. Jalen Brunson, this is a quarter and a half, comes out at halftime. I was on my phone compiling stats at halftime, looking at plus minuses, all that, right? And all of a sudden, it wasn't even cheers. It was like that Star Wars scene, thunderous applause, like it was real thunderous applause. And I look up and I'm like, oh, like, did Carmelo get here late or something? Like, is everyone like, are Carmelo and Clyde talking or something at halftime? Like, what's going on? And it's Jalen with Josh right by his side, unsurprisingly, taking the court. Jalen getting some shots up. And I think the best part about it was after the game, Jalen told us, the media, in the most Jalen Brunson way possible. He was asked about his foot. He said, I'm good. That's it. They asked him, like, did you think you were going to come back? And he was like, I had a decision to make. I made it. And another reporter was like, dude, what were you doing in the second quarter to kind of test that foot out? And he like almost looks around and he's like, I tested it. Like, just refuses to ever talk about when he's hurt. He is the opposite of any stars who wait until they win a game to release they have an injury, or, the second they lose a game are like, oh, and by the way, I'm coming out in a cast because my hand's been broken the whole time. This guy denies vehemently that he is in any sort of pain. I posted a picture. I said, bruised, battered, and Brunson. This guy's sitting there at the post-game press conference with like small little gashes in his elbows. I mean, he's worn down. And he doesn't care. Like Tom Thibodeau said after the game, when you're able to give your best, when your best is needed, when you're not at your best, you are a special player and teammate.
He's a true warrior. Ron Artest. Shout out to Ron Artest. Warriors. You're right there in the city as well. You're obviously a huge, massive Knicks fan. How are you guys feeling?
honestly, man, it just hasn't registered for me yet. A ton of things. One, that we're even in this position to begin with, up 2-0 in the second round against a really good Pacers team. And the fact that it's really just Brunson and the Nova guys and what's left of them. OG, it was tough that he obviously had to leave the game and is going to be out for game 3. But it's just stunning when you think about everything that had to go up into this point, the years of Elfrid Paytons and Tony Douglases and Chauncey Billups and Jason Kidd, Baron Davis, Alonzo. Just the list goes on and on of these experimental point guards. We make this bet on this guy. Everyone thinks it's a big bet. He comes in, absolutely exceeds expectations. And then this year when Randall goes out, when OG goes out, he just raises that even higher. And then he takes us to this huge win over the Sixers in the first round. And then the team's falling apart. Gets hurt in this game, like Chris mentioned. It's like, what are we going to do? He's our whole team, whole roster, basically, all our scoring. We had 2 bench points in game 1. And then you just see the camera pan back to him. He's out there shooting free throws, second half warm-ups. Everyone's thinking, oh, my, like, is this a flashback to the start of the game? Like, is he back for sure? like Chris mentioned with the Willis Reed 54 years ago, the parallels there obviously different, but it's just knowing that everything's always going to be all right, having that guy on your team. It's such a foreign feeling as a New York sports fan to have someone that just gives you confidence no matter what, even if they're playing on one leg, even if they have to play all 48 minutes, even if you have no other scorers on the team. It's just, I really can't believe it. I don't think it'll register for me until well after the season's over. And hopefully there's even more unbelievable stuff to come, but it's just an amazing time to be a Knicks fan and be in the city in general. The heartbeat is really alive right now.
100%. And I think, there's probably no better time. And Zach, I'll throw this to you because I know you love your lists and your rankings to talk about who the best playoff performers are right now in the NBA. I mean, we had Jason Timpf on the show from Volume Sports, and he said Jokic, Luka were the only two players performing better than LeBron James in the last quarter of the season and going into the playoffs. And I said, I'll give LeBron top 5, but you got to give me Shea and you got to give me Brunson. I understand being a reporter here in New York that jockeying for Brunson feels a little bit like when LeBron didn't get the unanimous MVP because someone voted Carmelo from New York. But he's showing me that I was more right about him than I even knew.
Dude, I had your back. I was all over Brunson there too, like compared to LeBron. I mean, people are just now trying to overrate these Knicks players, and they don't give Brunson the credit that he deserves because he draws a lot of free throws. He's a smaller guy. It's how you have to play. I mean,
free throws didn't exist.
He's a tough shot maker. Yeah, take out the free throw. It's just like Harden at his peak. Right? Yeah, you got it. I mean, just take out the free throws. He's still an amazing freaking player, coming up big every time, and he's doing this hobbled. You can honestly say at this point in the playoffs, like top of my list right now, Brunson could be number 1. I mean, it was Ant through 2 games. I mean, he's beating a better competition. I lean Ant as number 1 right now in the playoffs just because of the two-way, and he's taking down the defending champs, the best team in my personal God's honest truth. I still believe it the way Boston laid an egg tonight. I think Denver was the best team coming into this, but the Wolves, man, I tend to lean towards the top. And Brunson, here's the thing, man, like his passes, I think, are just so critical. Like, I think they're timely. He's not like an amazing playmaker that people make him out to be at times, Knicks fans, but like they're valuable assists. Like, I think his 6-7 assists are more valuable than some guys 12. It's truly how it works. And if just watching the flow of the game, like very few players have ever dictated a basketball game like this guy. It's a special run. I truly hope it keeps going till next round, at least, obviously, because I want Boston to win. But it's going to be interesting now that OG's probably going to be out for a couple games. That'd be my guess. But with that said, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo, he's got to get his respect. Him and Josh Hart, I mean, they're getting better every game, just like the Pacers are getting better every game. So that's why I will give – I didn't think the Pacers were a very good team coming into this. Like Sam was giving them a lot of props there. The Pacers are getting better every game too, and they're playing this really good Knicks team really hard. It's just I think Knicks are having a couple mental errors too here and there with playing all these minutes. You can only do so much with that amount. You got to be getting fatigued somewhere.
Yeah, before I get into Brunson, I guess I want to give our team here, Chris, Zach, a shout out. We in the Beat the Book app that we thought the Knicks Pacers series was going to go under. You guys actually predicted 5, and that looks like potentially it could happen. And then I went out on the limb and said Minnesota is going to, advance in the series, and they are up 2-0, and they're going back to Minnesota. So both bets look good. Here's another piece of advice. This is a great time for you to hedge those bets if you already have those positions so that you have plus money on both sides. Because now you're going to be able to get Nuggets plus money. If you think the Nuggets are going to win, definitely bet Nuggets exact 4-3 because they're not going to win 4 straight games. They're going to have to win 4 out of 5. Minnesota is not going to lose 4 straight games. So that's going to get you amazing odds there. Chris, you could look that up. Or if you think the Pacers are going to figure out how to play Hartenstein in a short roll, which is really embarrassing for me as a basketball fan to watch Indiana try to defend that. If they somehow figure it out tomorrow and in 1 or 2 games, 2 games especially, then go ahead and bet the over 5.5 games right now, and you get plus odds there as well. So props to us there. My thoughts on Brunson is if he's not the top performer in the playoffs this year, he's definitely top 2. What he's doing in the East, I think it's far and away. There you go. 4-3 Nuggets would be plus 650 on DraftKings, which is amazing odds. Brunson to me is far and away the most important player in the Eastern Conference going right now. It's not Tatum. It's not, Brown. It's not any of those guys. It's not Halliburton.
I don't know. Donovan Mitchell is pretty important too.
Mitchell did have a great game, but he doesn't. Me, he's like a scorer. Like when I watch the Knicks play, guys, like when it's down close in the fourth quarter, I just believe that it'll win. Like they like the chaos. They like, the helter-skelter, up and down low of the game. Whereas the Pacers have to play fast. They have to hit their threes. Same with Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. They have to have great inside rebounding, and then he can play ISO up top. Like the Knicks, they just like rough it up and play, and that's why I like watching the Knicks play basketball. Go ahead,
Chris.
Fred
Did
Cat?
his dad really tell him to calm down? Did Brunson's dad really step in there? I didn't hear too much on the Twitter waves.
A couple games ago, yeah,
I thought last game too.
Last game he went to the locker room with him to check on the foot. But a couple games ago against Philadelphia, I think it was, his dad got in there and told him to not rough it up with the refs. But Albert, to your point with the Knicks in chaos, I mean, obviously this is unsurprising, right? But Fred Katz of The Athletic has talked about how Tom Thibodeau is the reason they look so ready for chaos. And this is the unsurprising part. It's because they drill every scenario. So like they have drills where Hartenstein is like starting out of bounds, grabbing an offensive rebound, and we'll throw it to, like, the first read is to the corner. The next read is to someone at the nail. The next read is to someone at the top of the key if you got to lollipop it up. I think that the Knicks are prepared for all. The reason they look like they thrive in chaos is because they legitimately drill it over and over and over again. And so they're actually ready for it. Like we said, we had Alpha on here, and we kind of all agreed it was 4-1 Knicks was the call. 4-2 even could feel right. I could see Indiana going and winning both at home with the shortened Knicks rotation, but hopefully, for the Knicks, after those games, OG Anunoby would be back and they would be able to close out the series.
Yeah, just jumping on there real quick before we hop to the next series. I'm really interested how the Knicks are going to play without OG now. Like, we pretty much saw this stretch in February after Randall went down, I think on January 27th, with his season-ending shoulder injury that he had to get surgery on. We saw them find ways to win and thrive amid the chaos, like you're talking about, Al. I'm really interested to see how they adapt now, especially when it's a super fast up-and-down Pacers team, which, like you said, really can only play one way. I mean, we've seen with the pick and roll, Hartenstein just absolutely pick them apart with his passing. He almost had a triple-double last game. Really interested to see if they go more to that to try to find some offense. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to go too deep in the rotation, but just seeing kind of how fast you can, how fast they can keep up with the Pacers. And if not, they, lose the next one, lose one after that, go back home, hopefully get healthy for the rest of the series.
Zach, you were right. Rick Brunson, I missed it yesterday because I was there. And Zach, I'll throw it to you after this because we got to talk T-Wolves. But Rick Brunson did I think he told Jalen Brunson to shut up when he was getting into it with TJ.
All right, I wasn't wrong. I love it.
McConnell had like 6 or 8 assists at halftime. I mean, he was dicing.
He should be playing more.
And then got benched.
Exactly. For the second game in a row. For the second game in a row, he sits crunch time. And so I think it was my producer at Knicks Film School, Andrew Claudio, tweeted out when Rick Carlisle was like, he sent in 49 plays or whatever. He was like, is one of the incorrect calls Carlisle sent in benching McConnell in the crunch time again? Like, it's just, I don't, he was playing so well. You got to not be married to your rotation. Zach, take us out to your neck of the woods. No pun intended with the forest
Real quick,
theme there. But
would TJ have made the difference, you think? Anybody?
could have.
I mean, he's plus 19 so far in his last 2 games. I mean, best player on the Pacers by far. Best defense on Brunson by far. Can't stop him getting the rim. He's always lit up the Knicks. So, yeah, I think so.
Just play him over Nembhard.
Made him call daddy. Made him call daddy. Anyways, let's talk about the greatest thing on planet Earth right now. And that's my T-Pups taking a 2-0 lead. I just can't even put this into words right now. I mean, you said 54 years, but you've been you won a series last year, so you're a little bit ahead of us in Knicks land. But even then, no, you've definitely had way more moments. You mentioned Tony Douglas and Landry shit.
The Knicks have won a playoff series in that time span, just to be clear.
Yeah, you guys are definitely have better.
Was Willis Reed
better last 34 years.
Yeah, it's been a last.
But it's 20 years in the making. 20 years in the making to get to this point. And honestly, as long as this team plays hard.
Was KG the last?
Yeah. We've only won one playoff series before this.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know much
underrated
about that too. Yeah.
Underrated.
I love it. Man, I just can't believe how rattled we got the Nuggets. That was the thing that stood out to me more than anything is like we were in Jamal Murray's face. I mean, yeah, I think he's banged up, but I mean, he still had plenty of points in the first series against the Lakers. And even with the shooting lows, I mean, he was playing decently normal. I'd say he looked 85, 90% in that Lakers series. He doesn't look, I mean, I said take all the unders on him before the series. I'd say keep it rolling. I mean, we got this guy in hell. Jaden McDaniels is getting all the love right now on defense because he's not doing much on offense. So he's just buying in even more. He thinks he's the second best defender in the league. Rudy, man, he's going to be on a vengeance. He's going to have that dad pep coming out. I mean, that's a real thing. I think I feel great about the series, obviously, but it's far from over.
Mike Malone, remember the Fred VanVleet heater. The Fred VanVleet heater post becoming a father.
Well, Al, you're the only father here, right? Or can you speak?
Yeah,
your defense get a lot better.
You definitely learn how to play zone D. That's for sure. Zach has 3 as well. But Zach, if I could jump real quick, I think you mentioned it. Jamal Murray 6 for 14 in game 1, 3 for 18 in game 2, atrocious. Showing there the entire team was really bad in game 2. I guess my question for Sam, this is the first time during this Jokic era, right? The last 3, 4, 5 years where we've seen Jokic actually struggle like this. What do you think Minnesota is doing differently? Has Jokic been solved? Like he's been the most unguardable player for the last few years.
I mean, it's been 2 games, right? I would say let's not overreact. I think to Zach's point earlier. Yeah, to Zach's point earlier about the frustration, I think when I rewatched that game the other night, the most noticeable thing I thought was just how Jokic was very frustrated as well as Jamal. Obviously, he didn't throw a heating pad or a towel or anything, but you could see him physically, getting bothered by the offensive rebounds, seeping into, talking to the refs as well. Kind of everything that was, it felt like in the second quarter quickly spread to everybody. It was like, watching someone play Jenga and then slowly a few pieces get pulled out and then the tower just crumbles. And you kind of felt that they weren't going to come back and win that game. He wasn't playing defense. Cat was getting those offensive rebounds. As far as Jokic, his improvement on defense it's been good, but he can regress sometimes. So I think he didn't seem very locked into me, just like the whole entire team. Obviously, from the coaching staff down to Jamal to Jokic, your leader. I think he just needs to set a better example, play more calm, not get as frustrated. I'm sure the whistle will be a little bit different, even though they're going to Minnesota. but they just have to learn how to or accept to kind of play that way. I think missed a lot of shots early. But I think he's, just weather the storm, be that leader. If you're really the 3-time MVP, stay calm and try to lead by example instead of, falling victim to some of the other antics that everybody else is kind of being impacted by.
So, Chris, the Denver Nuggets are the defending champs, and there's a lot of argument or conjecture out there. If Jamal Murray didn't get hurt the year before, they might have been the champs then too that played Boston instead of Golden State. With that being said, right, they're the champs today. Do you think that how do you think they're gonna respond in Game 3 and moving forward? Is this gonna be a long series, or do you think this is academic?
I mean, listen, man, Denver's spread was like -6.5 for Game 2, right? And I didn't think they would cover that, but I did think they would definitely win a close one. It was not a close one, and they did not win. So I was totally off on my read with that right there. For me personally, I think they do respond. As you know, a series does not start until a home team loses a game. Shout out Pat Riley for that one. I always call back to that because, look at tonight, right? Whether you like it or not, whether it fits what you thought about Boston and Cleveland or not, series started. And the Knicks learned this against Philadelphia, right? The series, they were up 2-0. Everyone in New York City is ready to run, naked, covered just a Knicks towel up on 7th Avenue. And then they go to Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid goes from having a 40-point playoff career high to a 50-point playoff career high with a 19-point third quarter where the Sixers scored 43 points. They were a new team, right? And so you learn a lot when a team gets to go home. And Denver, man, oh man, Denver is really the kind of team where, you look at Game 2, right? And you think to yourself, okay, they dropped both at home. This series started after Game 1, and now they lost both at home. Like, the altitude, Minnesota's there, they're through it. I don't know if this is me just being stuck in my ways, stuck in my takes, but I think we see them script the flip, as I like to joke. Like, I think we see Denver now take that mentality and flip it. And we see
Zach, I don't know if you follow there's this YouTube account called Legends NBA, and I think what he does is like just reads lips. And so when you see
oh my god, yes.
Yeah, when you see close-up videos of like LeBron and a fan or something, and then he has all the caption out. But funny is in game 1 or game 2, but it was a close-up between Jamal Murray and Anthony Edwards. And Jamal Murray was like, "You're going to guard me? This is going to be easy. This is going to be fun." And Ant-Man Anthony Edwards actually didn't respond to him. All he did was block him, then made a 3 on the very next possession, and they just started smiling. Like, we are seeing the coronation, if you will, of just 22-year-old Anthony Edwards. Like, how excited is the fan base there? It's like, you have the next Mike Jordan right there in your fingertips. So just talk through that.
Comparison is like begging for disappointment, right? Anyway, to close,
I don't like the comparison. I personally don't like it.
In one line to close on earlier, I think they split in mini. It's such a great home court advantage in Minnesota. I think Denver probably wins the first one. Minnesota takes the second, and then we've got a series on our hands because this series started after game.
Split is a win. Is a win for Minnesota, to be honest.
If Denver overcomes this crowd, I think it's going to be something like Wolves win tomorrow, and then Nuggets win 2, and then Wolves close it out in 6, if anything. But it's all just a guessing game at this point with the defending champs. Mike Malone's a great in-game adjuster. Anything can happen, and Nuggets have beaten us in the playoffs at home a couple times last year already. So it's all going to come down to Jamal Murray, I think, and what Murray shows up. Jokic is going to come 40-piece, and the Wolves can allow that. Game plan should be to slow down everybody else. We had 12 blocks last game, just suffocating. Jokic can go shoot 2 for 10 again. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely glorious and hectic. Fans, I haven't talked to this many fans going out to bars like ever to go watch games with their friends. I mean, Vikings is a real thing. Going to bars to watch that, but Timberwolves games, like they've been watching bar parties, like breweries, like it's been popping like half the year, and it's never been like this. It's pretty awesome. I got to get to a game. The buzz is unreal, but Finch, man, they're going to rally behind him. He's going to get a crazy O, and it's going to be interesting the setup there because Denver had a pretty good setup for him. Mike Inori, he's done pretty well for the role he's had to provide, but yeah, I don't know where you want to go with this, but
yeah. So
buzzing.
we're close to time. I do want to do a couple of rapid fire questions. I guess I'll start with Sam. So the Cavaliers won today in Boston. Super impressive. 118-94. It's dominating, to be honest. A playoff road victory like that. Yes or no? Do you think Cleveland has a shot in this series?
No. I think, Boston is that kind of team that's prone to, always, not try their hardest when they kind of think they have it locked up. I think that's been the biggest knock on them pretty much in the Tatum Brown era all the time. It's like, all right, well, have they been tested? Do they really care? I'm sure people will come out tomorrow and say, Cleveland has a shot, like with the way Mobley played today, really well on the boards, really well defensively, frustrating them a lot in the fourth. Tatum put up his points. I was surprised White didn't show up, but I mean, they just really didn't shoot that well from three. That's kind of always been the story with Boston. If they don't shoot well from three, they're not going to play that well. Brown had a great game one. He didn't play so well tonight. Bunch of turnovers, a bunch of loose balls. But I think this is a wrap. I don't know what the odds are right now, but I would take them to win the next three straight. I don't think Cleveland really has a chance. I think Boston just took their foot off the gas, which is human nature when you think you have it all sewed up.
Gotcha. Chris, I'm going to go to you next. Rapid fire question. Yes or no? The Knicks right now are missing Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, OG, Boyan. Are these nagging injuries here is going to be the ultimate demise of New York?
See, I want to go on a whole diatribe, but I got a yes or no at first. No, they won't be the ultimate demise of New York. That said, the mentality that's gotten this team through this entire season is next man up. At a certain point, next man up runs out of juice when the next man up is your
Jacob
fourth
Toppin.
string, right? But like Mamadi Diakite taking warm-up floaters with Jericho Sims before the game, and I was like,
oh boy,
is Jericho gonna play? Like,
break the glass.
But basically, like I do think that the Knicks have gotten to where they have because of the next man up mentality, right? Like, and Anunoby missed a lot of the regular season. Robinson missed half the regular season. Randall missed like a third or a quarter of the regular season, and they won 50 games. That's a lot. Like that's not like, oh, this cute Knicks team still won 45 games. Like they won 50. They were the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, and it came down to a game 82 battle with Chicago for the second seed. Win and you get it, losing you don't. Right. And you saw teams in the East, like look at the Cleveland Cavaliers ducking the smoke, losing on purpose, benching the starters, benching the second unit in the fourth quarter to draw the Orlando Magic. And they go to 7 games, right? The Knicks took care of the league's best player when he's available, Joel Embiid, the league's best player this season. The Knicks took care of him and Tyrese Maxey, 23-year-old superstar, in 6. And it took Cleveland an extra game to beat the Orlando Magic, who are really fun, are really awesome, and who struggle to score 90 points in a playoff setting. And so, like, for Cleveland to do that, and now, of course, getting a game off of Boston looks good. But when the series ends and it's 4-1 Celtics, do we care that Cleveland got a game off of Boston? Probably not.
Donovan Mitchell definitely won't.
I can tell you he won't. Like, I can tell you he was not happy when they tanked that last game. I can tell you he was embarrassed when they tanked that last game. And so for that to be a thing, and to go out of the playoffs with your crowning achievement being a win on Boston, like maybe they get 2. Oh, but like
That'd be a big deal, man. If they get 2.
To who?
Not
Dan
big enough for
Gilbert?
not big enough for
someone
him
like
though.
Mitchell.
Yeah, you see, he wants to
Yeah.
make the
Maybe
conference
Dan
finals.
Gilbert's throwing an extra game was worth of seats, but not anyone on that team that likes to compete. And so
Yeah.
when listen, Zach, like I know it's easy to be realistic, but the only way you win a championship is going into every game thinking you're going to win and that you're the best player on the court and that your team is the best team in the league. Like you have to have that mindset. And so for Cleveland organizationally to very loudly declare, we're good. Maybe we're not as good as those guys though. So let's like that's not how you win. And the Knicks have never run out of gas. The Mr. 48, Josh Hart, never runs out of gas. He even said to reporters after the game that he was literally just praying during game 2, like praying to God that he would get more energy in his body because he was running out. And I forget who it was. I think it was Zach Harper said he has the easiest to calculate plus minus in the playoffs because he just plays every single minute.
Yeah.
And that's who the Knicks are. And that's their identity.
It was Zach Lowe.
The Knicks want to fill their roster with guys who think the rest of the league is soft. They look at that athletic poll that comes out and they love seeing that Tom Thibodeau is the coach that players would least want to play for because they love him. That's who Leon Rose and the Knicks are targeting. That's why they're rolling. And I don't think they stop rolling. I think, Rick Carlisle said it. I don't know if I agree, but he said Precious Achiuwa is a different challenge than Mitchell Robinson, but not a lesser challenge. I think Robinson's definitely a greater challenge, but just because of how Indiana plays, Achiuwa's mobility is really helpful too. So in long, this Knicks team isn't going to give up. You're not going to see them give up. And when they go out, they are going to go out, crawling, trying to hit that finish line. The answer is no. The injuries will not be the demise of the New York Knicks, even if they really stink, especially like, my friend Zach Blatter said today, Bojan Bogdanovic would have been perfect to scale up usage with Anunoby out, but Anunoby's out and Bogdanovic is out and Robinson's out and Randall's out. And at this point, an assistant coach is going to be out. You see all the coaching, Chris Finch and Nick Nurse getting hurt. It's going to be, maybe
Johnny Bryant suit up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see, man. Like Tibbs says, anyone could suit up. We'll see Dicey Yoshimoto putting a jersey on.
Zach, before we get to you and you can close this out, but I did want to mention our friends Beat the Book here. We are going to put a couple bets in there tonight. My guy Chris is kind of our admin there. So if you look at the MVP odds right now, Jason Tatum is actually the front runner at plus 125. This is for finals MVP. Anthony Edwards plus 350, Shea plus 700, Jaylen Brown is 4th plus 900. That's how much the books love Boston. Then you have Brunson and Luka and Jokic, Derek White, guys like that. So we're gonna put some of our Derek White finals MVP, but we're gonna put some of our best bets and best angles there from a finals MVP perspective into the app. So please download Beat the Book and give us a follow. All things NBA right there. Chris is showing it on the screen. Go ahead, Zach. That's all I wanted to say.
From what you just named off, and I haven't looked at it in a minute, just because I don't want to get too excited right now.
Luke
But
Cornett.
no, you were close with the first letter, Luka, man. If the Mavs continue to push tonight and blow these guys out or look as good as they are right now, they're looking really good. Luka's shots falling again. Kyrie gets going again. I think the Mavs can get there, and if they get there, that means Luka's playing great. Those odds are insane right now. So just sprinkle a little bit on that right now, if anything. Anthony Edwards, that's odds aren't enticing enough at plus 350, but still decent. If the Wolves sweep, they're definitely going to get worse. But man, I think the second best series is going to be up for grabs between, obviously it's the Knicks and Pacers right now, but I think it's going to be up for grabs depending on how tonight finishes in Dallas. OKC, I hope OKC tightens it up and we can have a fun finish, but Dallas came out flying. And then Denver, you got to expect them to answer. So I think it's going to be between these two. I think we're just going to see a bunch of blowouts in Boston and Cleveland. Sam's right. It comes down to make or miss games with Boston. They're good for one or two of those, and Cleveland can take advantage and get one more, I think. But yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing playoffs. The other 3 series, I don't see anything getting too out of control. Even if the Knicks sweep, those games are going to be super tight. There's no way they can't be with the fumes that they're on right now.
Yeah.
Sam, any MVP bets you said you
I
want
was
to throw
gonna
out there
say,
quick?
Sam, let's get the finals MVP play.
You said you
Yeah,
had
no,
something.
I like you said the Mavs. I think I'm on that too, but I was looking at Kyrie 75-1 before we started recording.
Ooh, I like
Um,
Kyrie there.
Big shot maker. Obviously, if they're getting there, Luka's playing well, but I mean, we've seen Kyrie do it in the finals before. He stepped up at different points throughout this year, throughout this postseason. I think one of the most important things is the media's narrative has really turned around on him. We've seen him go from an absolute pariah to someone who it seems like is being talked about as kind of a redemption story this year. So usually in the past that would kind of get in the way of it. But it's 75-1. Like you said, Dallas, they can get there. They have enough if they're healthy. Luka's playing well. Odds are too good to pass up.
Sam, that's crazy value. I love that. That's ridiculous value. I want to show off quick on the Beat the Book app. Someone on this show had a little Monday sweep, a 3-unit play, a 2-unit play, and 2 1-unit plays. Mr. Zach Noble, you, sir, got to log and show everyone a 4-0 Monday sweep. That is 7 units, bruh. What is up with you? Listen, it's real easy on Beat the Book. That's why we work with them, because we actually use the app. It's $5 for our picks for the entire rest of the playoffs here on All Things NBA. If you take a look at our all-time analytics, we are 12-6 all-time on the NBA. We're not out here giving you Luka to have Lucky Charms for breakfast, parlayed with Gobert's son to come out with dark hair for plus 13 million odds. Like, we're not giving you these.
Hey, I was a
insane
Nemhard 3 away from 10, 20 G's, whatever it was, but heck, I don't post that. I don't post
I
those.
know, that's what I'm saying. We don't post those crazy idiot parlays. We know the way to win is straights. 12-6 on NBA. Actually, 13-6 on NBA, because they keep the parlays separate, and I don't even. That's so smart of them. So 13-6 all time on the NBA here on Beat the Book. It is $5 to get our VIP picks for the entire rest of the playoffs, guys. I'm not trying to purport us as some clairvoyance, but that's a really good deal. And if you want to make some money with us, join us on Beat the Book. It's a really good app, and the most fun part about it is when you have a day like Zach did on Monday, everyone sees it. So yes, they also see your 0-5 days, right? But Beat the Book looks just like that. Join us on Beat the Book, and thanks so much for joining us here live. One last special shout out to the man, Sam McQuillan, for taking the time to join us. Thank you so much, Sam. You can go ahead
Sam,
and follow
let the people know where to find you.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at Sam_McQuill, which is MCQUILL. You can also find me at LegalSportsReport.com, where I'm writing about everything A to Z in the sports betting industry. So if you want to learn, why you can bet on things in certain states, why you can't, why you're not getting paid out on different apps, you can go there for all our coverage. And thanks again for having me, guys. Love talking the NBA with you guys. This was a blast.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us. Catch us next week, and